Hey everyone, Dan here at Fanatik. Now, I own Hayes Dominion A4s. In the past I've used Shimano's brakes and Hayes or Magura brakes. Rich won't stop talking my ear off about his TRPs, and while all these brakes have their strengths, I keep going back to SRAM code RSCs for four main overarching reasons. They are adjustability, compatibility, ease of use, and most importantly for me, parts availability. Let's dive into all four of these and explain what I mean. First off is adjustability. Now, a lot of people don't know what the RSC in code RSC stands for, and it's actually acronyms for three different adjustments. The first one being R, that's reach adjust. That's this little knob right here, and it adjusts where the lever sits at neutral, so how far away the lever is going to sit at neutral. If you have small hands, run it closer into the bar so you can reach it more easily. If you have large hands, run it further away. This is a tool-free reach adjust. Most brakes, hydraulic brakes, have this, but for some of them you do need a tool. Next up is S. That stands for swing link, and it's actually this little cam in the lever that dictates the power ratio of how hard you're pulling here to the degree that it's pushing the master cylinder into the lever. Now, this changes how the power delivery happens and makes the brake feel a little bit nicer through its stroke. The R version of these brakes does not have that. Lastly, C, that stands for contact point. Now, this is a very handy tool-free feature. It's this little wheel right here, and that adjusts where your lever is going to engage, how far away from the bar your lever engages. If you want it to engage really close to the bar, run the contact in, and if you want it to engage further out from the bar, run it further out. This is something I adjust very frequently on any given ride, depending on how my hands are feeling on a given day, depending on how wet out it is, or depending on the trail itself. For steeper trails where I'm on the brakes a lot, I'll bump the contact out, so I always feel confident that it's there. Now, closely related to that adjustability and ease of use is compatibility. SRAM's brake all use the Matchmaker handlebar clamp, which is likely compatible with your shifter, your dropper lever, probably both, regardless of what brand they are, and will make it easy to set up your brakes and your remotes on your bar. Now, aside from that, the hydraulic fluid that these brakes run on is just dot fluid, which you can pick up at any auto parts store. Moving on, the pad loading. One thing I really can't stand about my Hayes brakes that totally drives me nuts is that they are bottom loading for the brake pads. That means you have to remove the whole wheel to get your pads out, whether you're sanding off a glaze on there or checking them or doing anything else. It turns a 30-second affair into like a 10-15 minute affair. Seems like a slight engineering oversight, but I wish that all brakes were top loading. Even bleeding these brakes is much easier than almost any other brake out there, at least that I've used. They're SRAM's bleeding edge tool, which locks into the caliper and creates a seal that you can then use the tool to open the caliper up to complete that bleed, is one of the easiest, most mess-free tools out there when it comes to bleeding brakes. And just to make sure I'm not set in my ways and don't know what's new and good out there, I went and polled 5 mechanics at the shop yesterday and asked them what their favorite brake to bleed was. They all, without any priming for an answer or any fishing for an answer, they all said SRAM brakes because of that bleeding edge tool. Lastly, cutting down the line. The olive and barb on SRAM's brakes screws together before you insert it on the line as one complete assembly. It's a small thing, but it just makes it that much easier to do. Now, this last point is the biggest one for me. Every brake I've talked about today works with varying degrees of excellence, and all the points I've made in these codes' favor are pretty small things, but this one is not. And that's that no matter where I am, I feel confident that a fellow rider or a local bike shop is going to have spare parts for these brakes, regardless of what happens. Now, you might say that I should plan for that. You can plan for these contingencies, bring spare parts, and while that is true, there are always situations that you cannot plan for. And if I were to bust a hose, a lever blade, a need new brake pads or even bend a rotor, I feel confident that any bike shop or even a local, area friend or something is going to have that spare part available, much more so than with something like a Magura brake. Now and then you hear quibbles from people who say that SRAM codes just aren't powerful enough. I couldn't say. I've never felt them to be less powerful than, or at least significantly less powerful than any other brake I've tried, and they certainly have no trouble slowing me at 170 pounds down when I need them to. But if you are one of these people, what I would suggest is to try SRAM's new HS2 rotor. I don't have them on this borrowed Revel rail that we got loaned to us by Revel, so I could test it out and talk to you about it here soon. But these new HS2 rotors, which are thicker, they're cut out differently, and they have more heat dissipating properties, make a significant difference with these SRAM codes as far as stopping power. So much so that when I build up the Revel Rail 29 that I've got on order, we'll take a look at that when it's here, I'm actually going to be using 180 millimeter rotors because the 200s just seem like more than is necessary for me. So check those out. Like I said, I've run codes for a very long time, so maybe I'm just set in my ways. If you have very strong opinions about codes, one way or the other, do let us know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Now, if you want to pick up a set of the codes, we have quite a few in stock right now. I'll leave the link right up above as well as down in our description. You can always give us a call at 844-FANATIC, that's 1-844-326-2845, or shoot us an email at sales@fanaticbike.com and we can help you out. Anyhow, thanks for watching, y'all. We'll see you next time.